Packers fans, welcome into the Green 19 podcast from JS Online and PackersNews.com. I'm Kassidy Hill, joined as always by Tom Silverstein and Ryan Wood, here from Ford Field, where, guys, there was some version of a Thanksgiving miracle. Are there Thanksgiving miracles or just Christmas miracles? Point is, Packers walk out of Ford Field today with a 29-22 win in a game that honestly was probably a little closer than that score indicates. That they really kind of controlled from opening punch. Of course, Lions, were going to get their punches in. They're too strong of a team not to. But a dominating game, really, from the Packers on both offense and defense. We'll break it all down. But, Spoon, let me just start with you. First of all, congratulations on semi-quasi predicting the first play. I'm going to give that one to you.
I was pretty close, yep.
Yeah,
what was that prediction again?
I thought it would be a read, end around, and then deep ball to Watson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I missed the end around part.
Play action instead of end around. So that's still, I'm going to give you that. And Christian Watson pulled in a 53-yard reception to get the Packers started. So initial impressions of this game, Spoon?
I thought Jordan Love came of age. I thought Matt LaFleur took the seatbelt off his offense and finally just let Love go a little bit. Mm-hmm. And of all the games to do it with half the team missing, it was pretty remarkable. And I think what we're seeing or what we saw was the culmination of four really close losses, and them, feeling like, well, we weren't that bad. Everybody kept saying they were terrible, but I think they could see that they were making some progress. It seemed like one area would always be the weak point, whether it's special teams or defense or whatever. And today, every unit played well, and so I think they got a glimpse into what they can be if they continue to play like this.
Ryan, what can they be if they continue to play like this?
That's the question, right? I mean, this was not a game they were supposed to win. And I think that we can go ahead and acknowledge, according to you, Kassidy, that we did not plan to do a podcast today.
It's true.
We had fully expected, and we'll all own it, I expected the Detroit Lions to win somewhat handily. Mm-hmm. And it's Thanksgiving, and we're just, don't really want to. We're going to do it a little later. We don't need a recap. You're listening right now by your family tables, and they come out and they have their best game of the season by far, and it's not even close. And what Spoon said, they were good in all three phases. Jordan Love, at some point in the second half, Pete Doherty turns to me. We're sitting next to each other in the press box. He's like, this is what Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers did to the Lions. I mean, he's dominating them. He's just slinging it around the yard. The defense showed up. Without Jair Alexander and Devondre Campbell, they did work. Rashan Gary was dominant. And Rudy Ford. I mean, this was a bad day for the Fire Joe Barry crowd. And, if there's one negative from this game, it's Anders Carlson. He makes his first 16 extra points this season. And now since that first miss in Pittsburgh 3 weeks ago, he's missed an extra point in all three games. He's only 3 for 7 in his last, or he's 4 for 7 in his last 7 extra points. But the special teams snuffs out a huge fake punt that really changes the game. Enormous. It was huge. And all three phases showed up. When you have all three phases show up in this league, you're a winning football team. So they're 5-6 right now. This was not a game they were supposed to win. On one hand, you look back, 1-point loss to the Falcons. They've lost 4 games by 11 points. Boy, if one of those games had gone, they're 6-5 and in this NFC. But even still, you can't disqualify, completely put out the notion that this team has zero chance of making any type of playoff push in December, because this schedule's not hard down the stretch. They have the Kansas City Chiefs, and they've got a lot of winnable games after that. Now, they can lose to anybody, but they can win a lot of those games too. I don't know where this team goes from here. I really don't know. But this is the type of day where you see, okay, they were really young to start the year. They've done some growing up here. As you said, Spoon, Jordan Love's coming of age. If this continues, they might have a chance to do something. They're not going to win the Super Bowl in 2023, but they could have some meaningful games and be in the conversation in this NFC for a playoff spot if this continues. None of us saw that a month ago.
And let's be honest, with the way the Packers have played the last 4 games and the way the Chiefs have played the last 4 games, that game's going to be closer than a lot of us probably thought it would be.
Right.
You mentioned
Kansas City scored 21 points or fewer in their last 3 games.
Yeah, and they've been shut out in the second half of their last 3 games.
Yeah. So suddenly it's like, well, do they have a chance? Remember, we went into this thing thinking they could be 0-4.
Through this stretch.
Through this 4-game stretch.
I thought they were staring 3-9 in the face.
Yeah, now they're 2-1.
Right.
With a chance to go 3-1. Now, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. They could easily wind up losing to Kansas City. But even 2-2 isn't bad. And you mentioned, they could be 6-5. But I wonder, by losing those 4 games, whether that sort of taught them more lessons that they've not arrived, and that they had to keep fighting through these close games, and I think it benefited Jordan Love to play in all those games. And, the fact that they lost them, I don't think matters as much as the fact they were in those kind of games.
As what they learned from it. Yeah.
There's an element of learning by losing, I think, in this league for young teams. The idea that they were just going to... I know that expectations got high week 1 because they stomped the Bears, but the Bears are awful. The idea that they were just going to come in and start winning from the bat, that was never realistic. You gotta learn by losing, and they have. And who knows? I don't know where it goes from here. They could go out against the Kansas City Chiefs and look terrible. They could lose in prime time the next week to the New York Giants, just lay an egg. That could happen, and I wouldn't be shocked. I also wouldn't be shocked if they beat the Giants, they beat the Panthers, they beat the Bears, they beat the Bucs at home. These are not good teams.
They could beat the Vikings on the road.
If they can beat the Lions on the road, they can beat the Vikings on the road. These are not good teams down the stretch, so I don't know where it goes, but I think today you saw the potential, and the potential's pretty high.
I have a issue. I don't know if it's the right time to bring it up, but what the heck, because we haven't really talked about the game. But moving forward, they've gotten some real continuity out of having Valentine, Johnson,
and Owens
in the backfield, and you could see that today. They played so much better. They played zone coverage. They had to play man-to-man once in a while. They pretty much shut down Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is saying something.
Nobody ever really got loose from them on a team full of guys that are meant to get loose.
Yeah, and then Isaiah McDuffie plays the game of his life in place of Devondre Campbell. And now I'm like, okay, when these guys start coming back, how do you integrate them and not break the chemistry that you have?
Right.
Like, how do you get the best out of those guys and still keep the chemistry you've been building with the other ones?
Small caveat, Amon-Ra St. Brown did have 9 receptions for 95 yards, but that's a quiet day for him.
Yeah, and how many of those were in the end? I mean, he I think at halftime he had, 2 for 14 or something like that?
Well, I think this is an important point, though, because on this day, it'd be very easy to forget that the defense was damn good, too. Because, Jordan Love had his best day as a pro, and this season's about the quarterback, and Christian Watson returns to the office, and to me, the one thing we do know from today is for this offense and this quarterback to be its best, it needs Christian Watson at his best. I mean, there's just a different level that this offense can reach. And we saw it a year ago, too, when he broke out onto the scene with the 8 touchdowns and 4 games. There's a different level this offense and this quarterback can reach when his speed tilts the field and he catches the football. But the defense was damn good today.
Yeah, there was the fact that they got as many hits on Goff on an offensive line that's considered the best in the NFL, and just dominated them last time was phenomenal. I mean, Rashan Gary was a man obsessed, but you also have to give the secondary credit because there were times Goff was holding on to it because he couldn't really find anything. Laporta has been a huge guy, and he did have some key receptions, but that play that Quay Walker made on him was phenomenal in the end zone, and he didn't interfere with them. But they're getting pressure on him at the same time, so it was a really well-played game by the defense. I agree.
How many quarterback hits do you think they ended with?
I know how many they had.
Oh, do you know how many they ended with?
Well, it was 8 the last I checked.
They ended with 12.
Yeah.
That's an incredible day against one of the best offensive lines in football.
What was the rushing stats that they gave
for the Lions?
What did the Lions end up with?
The Lions ended with, let's see, 22. I'm sorry, that was the Packers. 31 rushes for 140 yards.
Okay, so.
But again, how much of that was they had 101 yards on their last drive?
I think if you're the Packers defense, you take that against this. They had 211 in the first game. The Lions are they're ranked 5th. You can argue they're the best rushing team in the NFL. I thought it was important for them to do enough against the run to not let anyone just go off, to not give up 200 yards, so that they could let their pass rush do what the strength of this defense is, which has always been this season, the pass rush. And then off that, you see what good defense is not just making things difficult on the opposing offense, but making game-changing plays. Rashan Gary has 3 sacks, and one of them is a strip sack that Jonathan Owens returns for a 27-yard touchdown. That's good defense, not just making it difficult.
I think the complementary play was key because, Detroit came out and they're running the ball. Gibbs has a big gain, and then all of a sudden Montgomery's pounding the ball. But they didn't have enough time to do that,
right?
Because the offense had gotten a lead. I really thought and I said it in the blog, if they could just keep giving it to Montgomery, they might, be able to come back, but they didn't have enough time to do that. And that's because, the offense did its job.
One of the things I wrote in the takeaways is give Matt LaFleur credit for reading the situation and taking the ball after winning the coin toss.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was 27-3 at halftime at Lambeau Field Week 4. He wanted to play with the lead. He gave themselves a chance to play with the lead. They look so much to the offense. Jordan Love's credit. They execute. They take the lead. And they look so much more comfortable with that lead. And what does that do against the Lions? It's harder to run when you're trailing, and they trailed the entire way.
Yeah.
It helps to take that run game out of the equation when you have a lead instead of it's 27-3 at half. So I thought that was they had to execute it, but I thought that was a wise choice on Matt LaFleur's part.
You essentially just asked the question I was going to answer the question I was going to ask. So let me ask it to Spoon as well. When you've got an offense that clearly needs to, quote-unquote, start fast to get itself going, are you shocked that they haven't taken the ball more before today, like when they do win the toss? Or is that just such an ingrained mentality that you have to almost have nothing to lose to?
It kind of depends. Like, I'd have to go back and see where and when they've won the toss. I think sometimes at home it's better to defer because you've got the crowd on your side and affecting the and then the offense, and then you can pick which side you get to. They have to go in, in the fourth quarter or whatever. I thought it was a really good move. I even mentioned it in the blog. Like I said, LaFleur should probably lose this coin toss. The best thing that could happen to him, because why do you want to let their offense on the field at home? This is a good way to shut them up. Now you got to convert, and they did. I don't know that it would change my strategy. I would still at home defer if I won the coin toss.
You mentioned Rashan Gary. He had 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Jonathan Owens picks up one of those, returns it for a touchdown, which ended up kind of sort of being the difference in the game, but score-wise. A lot of that also had to do with playing soft defense on that final drive. But Jonathan Owens returns one of them for a touchdown. Gary jumps on another one and gives the Packers offense the ball 8 yards farther down the field than they would have gotten it as a turnover on downs. They ended up punting that ball, but they pinned Detroit very, very deep on that drive. This is the field where Gary tore his ACL. I looked it up 382 days ago. And,
right.
you know, I remember, do y'all remember that shot of him being carted off the field, just tears coming down his face? And then we step into the locker room tonight, go over to talk to him. He's crying yet again, but for a much different reasons. He was like, I knew this game was going to be emotional. He told Preston Smith before the game during warm-ups, he said, you're going to have to keep me balanced today. And he said, because I know I'm going to be all over the place. Comes out, plays the game of his life. Is that, Ryan, you mentioned the pass rush being the strength of this defense. How crucial is that, though, not only when you're playing against a quarterback like Jared Goff and this offensive line, but when you do have a secondary that, for as well as it has been playing, is still 2 7th-round rookies and 2 free agents. Like, how much does a pass rush like Rashan Gary was able to give today just kind of help everyone all around, Spoon?
Yeah, I would throw Preston Smith in there, too. He's on kind of a roll. And he's the one who had to go up against Penny Sewell a lot of the time.
He didn't get credit for a sack that I think he kind of had, too.
Yeah, he got a quarterback hit.
Yeah.
But he was all over the place and played the run really well, too. Mm-hmm. He did a couple of times where they were trying to throw out into the flat, and he was right there. The two of them had one heck of a game, and then I think they played really well inside. I think they played well all the way across. And Gary's just the cleanup guy. He's the cleanup hitter, you know. So they try to get him free, and you know, when he gets one-on-ones, he produces.
I don't want to gloss over a nugget you shared, though. I find that very interesting that Rashan Gary went up to Preston Smith in warm-ups and said, you need to keep me balanced. Because we know because everyone that's in the locker room that's been around Rashan Gary, he's a highly emotional guy. Mm-hmm. Preston Smith kind of has, he's kind of got that steady presence, and he's seen a lot of football. Mm-hmm. This is an extremely young team, but Preston Smith ain't young. Like he is as old as it gets in that locker room. So, you know, I wonder if Preston Smith's really good for Rashan Gary. Mm-hmm. Just being, you know, having that steady presence and being able to take a still young, emotional guy into the side and say, you know, next play. Don't get too outside yourself.
Probably better than Za'Darius.
Yeah, you know. But yeah, and that's when you talk about, you know, the makings of a team. What happens on the field, production stats. I mean, that's production's it, and sometimes Preston Smith's production can kind of come and go. Right now, it's coming, but that presence on Rashan Gary can't be a bad thing.
Right. While we're talking about older guys influencing younger guys, you know who's someone who I think has played well? He doesn't jump off the tape, doesn't even jump off the stat sheet, but someone who has played well the past couple of weeks is Van Ness. He's, we see him, at least I saw him again today, sort of pursuing from behind a decent bit and doing well. He only finished with 3 tackles, but one of those was for a loss, and he had 2 quarterback hurries.
He had the tackle on the fake punt, too.
And he had the tackle on the fake punt on special teams. That was huge, and he read it the whole way. He reads those parallel runs out of the backfield well, and he's got the speed to catch up with them. It just makes you kind of see, oh, okay, I see what they were thinking here with the potential of what he could be.
He's a lot like Rashan Gary, like really raw. Rashan Gary was so raw when he came out and played the same way with his hand down, just like Van Ness did. Mm-hmm. It takes those guys a while to figure out how to rush the passer, and right now they're using him on first downs almost exclusively. Sometimes he comes in there with Amon-Ra, but they try to get Gary and Preston Smith in there or Amon-Ra when they're rushing the passer. So, he's another rookie that's been very functional, and almost all of their rookies find some way to contribute. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not like you find like a lot of times rookies are inactive, you know, because they're so up and down and they're not doing anything. this whole team, practically everybody's active.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only rookie that was inactive today is because he's in concussion protocol because it was a short week.
Yeah.
Before we move on to offense, just because we don't have to spend a ton of time on special teams, so just a quick note. As you said, Anders Carlson, up and down day. And then they tried a 2-point conversion to make up for his missed PAT. Do you think that was supposed to be a throwback to Love from Dobbs?
Yes.
Okay.
I was good
and
with
he was covered. Someone read it, too.
I was good with
Love?
the decision there.
Yeah.
I was, too.
I thought that was, because it's 29-14. You're up 15. You take a 17-point lead there. It's 3 possessions, but it was a little too imaginative.
Had they run the bootleg with him at that point? Had they already run that
boot?
3rd and 1 boot?
I'm not sure that they've done that they had done a designed. He'd had a couple rollouts to buy himself.
Yeah, what I mean is in the game. Remember that 3rd and 1 where he goes and runs with it? Had that happened before or after the 2-point conversion?
Let's see. The 2-point conversion was going this way. The 3rd and 1 running was going that way.
I think it already had happened.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the play where he walks in.
Yeah.
Everybody's expecting Dylan, and I'm surprised they haven't run that yet.
Yeah.
Pete Doherty asked a pretty good question to Jordan Love in the postgame that Jordan Love didn't really answer in full, but he asked, has there been more opportunities early in the season for you to keep? And I think there has been. And he finally does. And as I'm watching that play, I'm thinking, gosh, if he would have kept the ball, he had a lot of room there. And I was like, oh shoot, he has the ball. I was like, I didn't realize, but I'm so accustomed to him giving.
Yeah.
That that was my first thought. But yeah, that could be a weapon.
I think they ended up punting, and he could have got him into field goal range, I believe.
Okay, then we're thinking of a different play, because the play I'm thinking of, that ended in a touchdown drive. Feel free to take it.
You guys go ahead.
Okay, while you're looking for that, because we need to get into Love more, I was going to mention one other special teams aspect of it. For as much as Anders Carlson's day was kind of up and down, 2 huge special teams plays that quite possibly saved the game. That may be an exaggeration, but it made a huge difference. One of them was the kick return when Anders Carlson was trying that long 63-yard field goal at the end of half, and Raymond was returning it because it was short. Ironically, 10 years since the kick six, that would have been ironic if an Auburn kicker had been on the other end of it.
You were very excited about that.
I was like, that would have been funny.
You're the only one thinking that, but you're very excited about it.
There was other people that was thinking it too.
Were they really?
Yeah, I saw people on Twitter talking about it. Point is, TJ Slayton hustled to save that as a touchdown, and usually when you think there might be a chance to return, you put your faster cover guys on the field, not your linemen. But the lineman was still on the field, and TJ Slayton ran out there to kind of save that play. Another one, the covered up the fake punt, or covered up the fake punt try by the Lions. That was big. Another one that was big, and this was one I was going to get to real quick, was the downed punt at the Detroit 3-yard line. Mm-hmm. Robert Rochelle kept it out of the end zone with a great little move to keep his feet out and pop the ball back out.
Who downed it?
Then our guy Zane Anderson.
He exists.
This is like 3 weeks in a row he's made big special teams plays.
Yeah, well, they picked him up for a reason.
Yeah. And just reminding everyone that he's here to do some damage on special teams. Downs that punt at the 3-yard line. The Lions tried to go for it on 4th down, and they were stopped. They were stopped 4 times today on 4th down. Stopped at the 23-yard line, so the Packers took back over there and scored a touchdown on that, just easily. Scored a touchdown after getting that ball. So that's that's 7 points right there, downing that punt at the 3-yard line. So up and down day for Anders Carlson, but overall a pretty good day for special teams.
Yeah, it's been an up and down 3 weeks, though. 3 games for Anders Carlson. Mm-hmm. This is a very significant issue because extra points are supposed to be automatic and not extra. And right now they're extra. Mm-hmm. So this is a team that has, who knows at this point, if they have designs on doing something in 2023, you can't be leaving extra points on the field. That's got to change.
But, you got a rookie, and he's going to go through patches, and that's what you've committed to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you get rid of them or
Oh, I'm not
like
saying
that.
that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's a significant issue they've got to fix.
Yeah, they got to correct it. They got to figure out how to correct it.
You know what was weird today, too, though, was like the Lions kicker also missed an extra point, but they were at different ends of the field, because I thought maybe there's, if they were at the same end of the field, I would think maybe there was something weird going on at that end of the field.
Someone mentioned on the blog that one of the snaps was really bad on his miss. Did you guys see that?
I didn't, because the TV was so far behind in the press box. When he kicked it, from our view in the press box, I thought he had it, so I can't figure out where he shanked it.
He just hooked it left.
Okay, so it must have just hooked. But anyways.
By the way, they did punt on that after Love's 37-yarder. And the point being, so he wound up on the 42. If he had gone another 10 yards, then maybe they're in field goal position and they clinched the game with a field goal. So that's the only point I was trying to make.
Okay. That is the play I was thinking of. I just didn't remember that they punted on that drive. Let's get into Jordan Love just a little bit more before we wrap up on continue our Thanksgiving holiday here. He went, I'm trying to remember, don't say it, 22 of 32 for 286?
268, close.
268. Oh, I just inverted the numbers. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Pretty.
His rating.
Season high 125.5 rating.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He took the words out of my mouth.
What was the long pass of the day?
53. And then his long
This
scamper.
is like school with Spoon.
How many guys did he connect?
A lot.
Well,
Malik Heath had 4 catches, which is something.
Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Malik Keith, Tucker Kraft, Patrick Taylor,
Oh, that was a good one.
A.J. Dillon. There's another one, isn't there? Jaden Reed. Duh. Is there another one?
Did you say Dobbs?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, I got it.
He did miss that pass to Ben Sims, though.
As good as the final numbers looked, he started like 11 of 12 for 150 yards.
Yeah.
The one incompletion was literally thrown away because of the breakdown of the offensive line. He was perfect. It was a 158.3 rating for a while, and who was in the middle of that? Christian Watson.
Yeah.
Those first 2 drives.
You know what he did really well was get rid of the ball. Like a couple times he could have taken really big sacks, and he found a way to throw it to some receiver. He may not be able to throw a deep ball, but he has got a hellacious middle to mid-range arm.
Yeah.
He can wing it.
Those things have some smoke on them coming over the middle of the field.
What I was going to say he did really well goes right in conjunction with that, because what I think and I tweeted during the game, what he's doing so much better, not just today, but really I think the last few, is he looks so much more comfortable holding it in the pocket and letting things develop, letting his receivers make adjustments during a play on their routes and come open that way. He's holding it longer, which means that he's going to have to be able to be good at throwing it away because at some point the pressure is going to crash in on him. And he had a few today that were, hidden yardage. They're incompletions, but he saved a lot of yards by getting rid of the ball. But it's just early in the season it was almost robotic. Like get the ball, see the progression, get rid of the ball as quickly as you can. And he looks so much more comfortable in the pocket, letting things develop in front of him, and he's finding big plays off of it.
That was
he had so much time.
Throw he made to Jaden Reed that went off his fingertips. I mean, that was off his back foot, and I don't know if it should have been caught or not, but it was that close.
Talking on the corner down in this.
Yeah.
See, Pete and I thought he put just a touch too much on it. Now, we're talking an extremely fine line. I mean, and I thought it should have been caught too, and that's, as I was taking heat on Twitter about this, like some passes can be drops and not exactly on target as well. So I thought that it might just been a touch too much on it, but he's slinging it now. Like, what does Coach Matt LaFleur always say? Let it rip. He's letting it rip in a way that we haven't seen. And that continues. That's a good sign.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of an indicative of the day that we're just nitpicking one or two little throws.
Yeah.
And he had so much time to throw today, too, against a pass rush that includes Aiden Hutchinson, Alex Anzalone, and he had time to just kind of sit back there and pick them apart however he wanted them to. So, good day for the offensive line as well.
Yeah, Zach Tom had another good day against Hutchinson. They left him alone on there a number of times, and he held his own.
Yeah.
I'm still fascinated to see what they do with that offensive line this offseason. Zach Tom can play right tackle. I think he could be dominant on the interior. Do you go get a right tackle and move him inside? You say, hey, he can play right tackle, he can play right. I think that's going to be a really interesting decision.
Before we wrap up here, Spoon and I both were given some pretty good quotes that we thought we were going to mention on the podcast, and we are going to tell you what they were. Funny part is, have since found out that these quotes that were used as motivation this week as bulletin board material were fake. It was a joke online, and essentially someone online, a Lions fan, ironically, made a joke that Amon-Ra St. Brown had said he didn't know any of the Green Bay Packers defenders, meaning because they're so young and just a hodgepodge. That quote became like a motivation tool in the Packers locker room. Spoon, what did Keyshawn Nixon tell you?
No, it's Valentine.
Valentine.
Was like,
Okay.
said, Amon-Ra St. Brown said he doesn't know my name,
Oh, I thought Nixon had said something too. Yeah, but Valentine told us, he said, I heard that some people on their team didn't know who we were, or couldn't name any of us. Well, he needs to watch some more film. And I said, do you think he knows your name now? And he said, he better learn it, or it's going to be a long road for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that kid's got all the cockiness that I guess you would want in a starting corner.
That's on brand for him, yeah.
Yeah. He also had another little mic drop line. He said, I'm going to go enjoy my Thanksgiving. I don't know about them.
Yeah, be careful with your Amon-Ra St. Brown is...
He's going to remember
stop
that.
Before, yeah, exactly.
Those are real quotes.
You don't wanna,
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to poke the beast, If you have a good day against them,
Thank you.
mazel tough, as they say.
Yeah. He'll come back next year and remember that for sure. Well, guys, we're going to go enjoy our Thanksgiving as much as can be done in Detroit when everything is closed after a game. We will have more wrap-up coverage for you, though, on PackersNews.com of the Packers' big 29-22 win over the Detroit Lions. Then take a little bit of a mini bye, guys, a very mini bye, and then come back and Packers will get ready to take on